Good afternoon. Weather First meteorologist Gary Frank here with an update as we continue to monitor the snow. It's obviously it's really picked up throughout the area. Just looking at this downtown, it is snowing quite a bit. These big wet snowflakes continue at a pretty high rate here so far at this moment. And, you know, that's the big story for us here, obviously, as we look at some of these different cameras here. And whether or not we're looking at this camera specifically, I'll show you a couple of different spots. And I think that's going to be a big key for us here moving forward is because, it's pretty impressive here as we look at a couple of different cameras here. And also, it's snowing here just about everywhere. We'll look at this one on a different camera here, the arch. And you can see some of these big wet snowflakes. That trend continues overall as we still have some, pretty decent temperatures that have kept us above freezing at the very least. So those are a couple of things that I want to look at here before we start to get to the specifics. But obviously snowing just about everywhere in some case. And that's what I want to look at right now, of course. So the big story for us here is obviously the snow, and that's what we're going to continue to see. So let's talk about a few things here as the snow continues because, our temperatures still overall are above freezing, starting to come down where that snow is picked up just a little bit from Wildwood to Baldwin, but still at 40 in Edwardsville. And so this is the area that we'll look at specifically for cooling down. Now, overall, the snow continues, and I want to look at some of the localized areas and where the snow is falling. This is what we've been mentioning for the last 36 hours or so, as we've talked about the possibility of this and how the impacts will be felt. We have rain where it is over 40, obviously, as you would expect, but there are also some localized areas, and I want to zoom in on some of these here on a full screen so you can see what's going on. I'll play around with a little bit of this because I want to show you how not only have temps fallen, and look how we've seen temperatures start to fall from really 39 to about 34 pretty quickly as we've continued to see, some pretty good snowfall from Wentzville all the way to St. Charles and closer to the airport. Where at the airport, we're now at 37 degrees. So from Baldwin, we also have some pretty good snowfall rates, and this is not going to quite queue up in terms of snowfall rates, but, this is a third of an inch per hour rainfall rate. So, that's a pretty good snow. That's why you're seeing some of those deeper shades here from Moscow Mills. This is the area specifically where we're going to see the possibility of any sort of localized accumulation. Now, I've already seen some reports from Jersey County that we've had some light snowfall accumulate in the grass because of the amount of snowfall that's falling. And this is kind of what we've talked about here at great length. And I'm going to look at some of the other things as I zoom into at least a few of these spots as we loop this. The last few hours have continued to, really pick up some of that snow, and you'll see how it's switched from rain to snow pretty quickly. We saw that transition in the city, and it's fully switched over as that colder air has settled in. So for the most part, we're going to continue to see more of that as the rain has switched to snow, and you're going to continue to see this for the next several hours. Colder air settling in. The other thing, as we look at more of this cold air settling in, is the fact that, our temperatures still at the surface are large in part above freezing, right? And so that's going to be a big key for us here as I look at this other product. And this is why we talked about looking at the atmosphere. 10,000 feet above the surface, it's 10 degrees. It's now 25 at 5,200 feet, but the air temp now down to 37, and the ground temp continues to come down. This is a localized area. I got this from the Science Center. So downtown, a little bit warmer, but overall, our ground temps have been pretty warm. And that's a big key for us when we see this colder air continue to work its way into the air, and then eventually that snow hits the ground. That's why it continues to get colder. And obviously, there are going to be some spots that get colder a little bit quicker, right? So as we continue to see that, that's where I expect some of these areas with localized snowfall to at least pick up. So that's what we want to look at here overall as I'm knocking stuff down. That's the way it goes. But I think overall, you're going to continue to see that. Now, here's what looks like in the future cast as temperatures locally continue to fall just a little bit. And I think we'll get close to freezing. I don't think that we're going to continue to drop below freezing at all, but as long as this low sits here in central Missouri, you'll notice that thin spot that I talked about from Troy, Herman, St. Charles, where you're getting these locally heavy snowfall rates. That's where I think we may see some issues on the roads briefly, but also that snow is picking up in the grass because, it may stick quickly because the snowfall rates continue to increase, but then it may melt a little bit later on. So this is a trend that I think continues through 4, 5, 6 o'clock as this spins here in the city, as it's already fully transitioned to snow. there will be impacts that are felt, and this is going to hang around through at least midnight. So I would expect that we're going to at least need to deal with this as temperatures continue to fall into the next several hours. So the snow impacts, I still think that overall it's going to be, for the most part, on the Missouri side. There are some spots, obviously, in Illinois, but the snow impacts are probably most going to be felt right here on the Missouri side, where temperatures are a little bit colder and we have some of those localized accumulations. Doesn't mean that we won't see that in some spots in Illinois. We already have. But the colder air is centralized in the Missouri side, and that's where we continue to see that for at least this afternoon. So that's what I want to point out. So temperatures will continue to hold steady in the mid-30s as rain and snow continues, and most of it has switched over to snow. This rain continues to mix with snow as the snowfall rates are overcoming the warm ground. Temperatures are gradually falling. This is not a huge drop where we go from 35 to 25 and it slickens up consistently. The warm ground should win over for the most part, but there are going to be some localized issues that are certainly slowing things down. The visibility is down as well. In fact, I want to pull that up for you because while I show this other camera, I'm going to grab that visibility because you can really tell by looking at what's going on. Let me pull that up here in one of the other spots. That's the beauty of being able to do this here and kind of point things out when I'm not doing it live because, well, I am doing it live, but you know what I mean. We're just on the web here, just talking to you. I think that what we're dealing with is some pretty good snow. And so here it is. I mean, we got our visibility that's down to 1 3/4 mile. I mean, it's under 2 miles in a lot of spots where that snow's coming down. So this is really going to be a factor for us the next several hours. Overall, I think that we're still going to continue to see the back edge of this system interact with another larger system here as we get closer to the afternoon. And that's where we're going to see probably more in the way of snowfall. By tomorrow morning, a lot of this is out of here. In fact, I'm going to backtrack here just a little bit. A lot of this is out of here by late morning. But watch how tomorrow morning, as this starts to work its way out, by 2 or 3 o'clock, you'll see a lot of this working its way out. So I think by Thursday morning, overall, this is starting to at least fade. But then, we're going to see a second round of the snow. And that's where we'll point out here as I put this back on the full screen for you. You're going to see another little light burst of snow Friday morning. That could make things slow. And I think that's where we may see our first brief accumulation at the airport and then things eventually clear out. So overall, I think the next few days are worth watching for a lot of reasons. So for one, our temperatures have already fallen from 40. They'll be probably around 37 in the afternoon with light snow early, ending by about 3 or 4 in the morning, and then a secondary burst of snow late Friday. And then we're in the mid-40s on Saturday as temperatures continue to get cool overall. So the main key points for us, as I put this behind me once again, the main key points are this snow behind me. This is where we're going to see the most accumulation right here. This is even working its way into Illinois. Like I mentioned, Jersey County already seeing some snow that has stuck. This is the main area that I think that we're going to see these snowfall rates overcome the warm ground, and that's where it could be a little slick at times over the next few hours. We'll keep you posted here online with updates on 5 Plus and right here, of course, coming up at noon, 4, 5, 6, and 10.